Well, grace and peace to you once again. It's good to be with you. I want to encourage you this month with 2 Corinthians chapter 3 verse 18. One of my favorite verses. 2 Corinthians 3:18. It says, "And we who with unveiled faces all reflect the Lord's glory are being transformed into his likeness with ever increasing glory, which comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit." Well, I love this passage. It's just an amazing promise, and it builds on some of the promises we've been talking about lately. And the fact that your best days are ahead of you are found once again in this passage. Because here we see the reality that God is in the business of making us like his Son Jesus. That's what he promised to do. And I want to just take this passage. I encourage you to study the whole thing, this whole section. It's so important. But let me just give you three things to think about today. The first thing, it says that we have an unveiled face. In other words, we now have access to God through Jesus Christ. You see, when Moses wanted to see the glory of God, there was a time he said, "I want to see your glory." God said, "Okay, but I'm going to have to hide you. I'm going to have to put you behind this rock, and I'm going to have to kind of protect you, and I'm only going to let you see my back." What a fascinating story. But did you know that when Jesus died on the cross, there was a temple, in the temple where God dwelled, there was a curtain that separated the people from the presence of God. And when Jesus died, that temple, that curtain, I should say, was ripped in two. It was separated. God was saying, access to me is now possible because Jesus has paid the price. We have an unveiled face before God. We can see the glory of God. And Jesus is the exact representation of God's glory. And glory in this passage means his character, his person, who he is. We now have an access to God with an unveiled face. Secondly, a powerful truth. The truth is this: you become whatever you look at. You become what you behold, is how I like to say it. When I, go fishing, fly fishing, if I want to make a perfect cast, and I need to make a perfect cast, I look right at the spot I want to go to, and I focus all my energy and try to go to that spot. Well, that principle is true in the spiritual realm as well. We become whatever we look at. If you focus your life on anything other than Jesus, you're going to become that thing. That thing will define you, whether it be your job, another person, your insecurities, or your hobbies. That thing will define you. If you look at negative things all the time, it'll dull you, and even physically you'll see a dullness upon yourself because you become what you behold. If you look at Jesus, you become like Jesus. We with unveiled faces are beholding the glory of the Lord, when we're being transformed into his likeness with ever-increasing glory. And that's the third thing I want to mention today, is ever-increasing glory. God is continuing to change us. God is continuing to make us like his Son. We are moving from glory to glory, his character to more of his character, from faith to faith. We're holy now, we'll be holier later. We have love now, we'll love more later. We have joy now, we'll have more joy later because we're looking at Jesus. You see, that's why I like to tell us that our best days are ahead of us. That what Philippians 1:6 says is true, that he who began a good work in you, he will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus, because he is committed to transforming us with ever-increasing glory. Until next month, let's fix our eyes on Jesus.